Hi there! Today we are going to look at an idea that has impacted the entire world. This idea is called dialectics. To begin with, we're going to learn what dialectics is, and then we're going to look at it in France, Haiti, and Vietnam. Dialectics was developed by a German philosopher named Hegel. Hegel believed that society was always changing and that this change was gradual, and it was always happening. He also believed that people's ideas determined the way that they lived. Karl Marx was another German philosopher. He lived after Hegel. Karl Marx did believe that change was always happening and that big changes were gradual. However, Karl Marx believed that people's realities determined their ideas. So, while Hegel believes that people's ideas shape their lives, Karl Marx believes that people's lives shape their ideas. And throughout this, I want you to answer, and this is your own opinion. Who is right, Hegel or Marx? Do people's ideas shape their lives, or are people's lives shaped by their ideas? So first, we're going to look at France. And I have a picture of French bread here, because by the time the French Revolution happened, the average peasant had to spend 88% of their wages on bread, which was their biggest food source at that time. The French were very, very upset. The peasants were very poor and overtaxed, while the monarchy lived in the Palace of Versailles, which we've seen pictures of. And the people, they were very, very poor this time. That's very important to keep in mind. Eventually, people's frustrations with the monarchy and with feeling as though they weren't heard led to a revolution. In this revolution, the peasants basically attacked, and it led to the French monarchy being guillotined, and it led to several other people being guillotined. About 10,000 people were sentenced to death at this time amidst the revolution. What the French Revolution led to was the Declaration of the Rights of Man. According to this, all people have the right to life, liberty, and equality. All people have the right to their own property without it being seized, and people have the same rights underneath the law. This is a very big deal in France, and we'll be looking at this as we go on. Before the revolution, France established the colony of Haiti. Haiti is located in the Americas. It is south of Florida. And the vast majority of Haiti's population, while it was a French colony, were slaves. Haiti is known as one of the worst slave colonies in history. The slaves were treated absolutely horribly, even compared to other slaves. Most slaves worked on sugar plantations, and this was very, very physically demanding work. And the average Haitian slave died within 7 years of arriving on the island. There were many educated free blacks on the island as well. And these free blacks were aware that the French Revolution had happened, and they were aware of the Declaration of the Rights of Man. They eventually led a slave revolt against the French. It incorporated free blacks and slaves, and after several years, they overthrew the French completely. Now, this goes back to my question of, were they motivated to overthrow the French because of this idea of the Declaration of the Rights of Man, that all people are equal, or did they overthrow them because the conditions were so horrible? Now we're going to move on to another French colony, Vietnam. Vietnam was taken over by the French, And the French, much like in Haiti, the French were known for being very brutal in Vietnam. The French colonized Vietnam for its rice and its rubber crops. Vietnam has the ability to grow lots of rubber trees and lots of rice, and because of that, the French wanted to colonize. Many farmers were forced to work on rubber plantations and rice fields, or were paid very, very poorly to do so. They were also mistreated. As a colony, they were mistreated as well. Most of their products were being exported. The French were the ones who were getting money for it, not the Vietnamese as much. The Vietnamese also had to pay a very high tax to the French. One of the most famous men in Vietnamese history is Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh was born in Vietnam to a relatively wealthy family, and he was educated in both Vietnam and France. He very strongly believed that that France should get out of Vietnam and Vietnam should be an independent country. During World War II, when Japan took over, Ho Chi Minh led a Vietnamese army to fight the Japanese, and he believed that that entitled Vietnam to its independence and its freedom. When it was about 1 month after World War II, Ho Chi Minh read the Vietnamese Declaration of Independence, which begins with lines from the American Declaration of Independence, as well as referenced the Declaration of the Rights of Man. France, on the other hand, disagreed with Ho Chi Minh. France wanted its colony back after World War II in 1945. The Vietnamese by this point felt that they were entitled to their independence and were stirred by Ho Chi Minh and the ideas from the Declaration of the Rights of Man that say everyone has the right to equality and to freedom. This eventually led to a war between the French and the Vietnamese called the Indochina War. The war ended in 1954 after the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, where the French wanted to surprise Ho Chi Minh's army by landing in a valley in Dien Bien Phu, but instead were surrounded by Ho Chi Minh's army, and several thousand French soldiers died. This led to France eventually surrendering and leaving Vietnam. So this leads us back to our original question. Who was right, Hegel or Marx? Hegel says, our ideas shape the way that we live and our choices. While Karl Marx said that our lives shape our ideas. So, did Haiti and Vietnam revolt because of the ideas of the French Revolution and the Declaration of Rights of Man? They heard these ideas and it shaped how they wanted to live? Or did they revolt because things were so bad and had built up for so long that that was what shaped their ideas? We'll talk about this more in class, and good luck.